For the past year, I have been taking your questions, and I'm going to go over some of the answers. I have so many questions, more than I can shake a, well, I would say more than I can shake a stick at, but I actually have a stick right here, and I'm shaking it at all the questions. Well, hey there, folks, and welcome back to the pits of YouTube. My name is Kyle. I've been an online reseller for the past 13 years. This is actually going to be my 14th year as an online reseller. It used to just be a side gig, a hobby, some way to make some extra cash on the side. However, the past 5 or 6 years especially, this has become my primary source of income. And of course, keep in mind, these answers are just based on my experience of my reselling life for the past 13 to 14 years. And it's the way I do things. It's on my business model, my opinions. And that doesn't make them right, doesn't make them wrong. It's just what works for me. And you may disagree with some of the stuff I say. And you know what? That's okay. And if you're new to reselling, you're going to hear a lot of different advice from a lot of different people. And you just got to find what works for you and keep that, try it out, do a lot of trial and error, and discard what doesn't work for you. So keep that in mind, that these answers are just based on the way that I do things. It doesn't necessarily make it wrong or right. It's just what works for me. And from KC, New York, I may try your strategy. You have a best offer on your listings when you create them. I always put every listing of mine with a best offer. And I know some people are very against best offer, which I can understand, because you do get, you tend to get a lot of lowball offers from crazy people who think your $60 item isn't worth more than a $5 offer. So while that is annoying, it's easy to just ignore those, which I often do. Usually I ignore them. Once in a while I'll counter. But in general, especially depending on what I purchase the items for, I always have best offer because I like to get rid of inventory. I actually made a video recently about one of the things that I highly recommend people do is not becoming attached to their inventory. And one way that tends to happen is when you're going out sourcing and you find something that might be selling for $50 and you find the profit margin is really good because you can purchase it at $5. Oftentimes, I know I've done this in the past where I get so attached to that $50 selling price point that I get so attached and I want that profit margin. That's like what I promised myself when I purchased this item. However, I find that there's a lot more value in moving an item faster, maybe not at the maximum price that I'm hoping to get, but if I can buy something for $5 and I can still profit double, triple, quadruple my money by selling it at, say, $30, $35 or something like that, if those offers are available, oftentimes I will take those offers just so I can get that cash, get those profits, and move it on to the next item to continue the profit machine. Thanks for the question. I got this question: is selling half-empty bottles of perfume okay to sell on eBay now? Because you've always kept yourself from doing that. Now, I did talk about this in a recent video, and I got a fair amount of criticism, but I have sold and continue to sell partially full bottles of cologne and perfume. And I got a lot of folks saying that is actually against eBay policy. And as far as I'm aware, I do know that you're not allowed to sell used and open bottles in certain categories on eBay. However, eBay does specifically have a category called, like, I think it's called collectible perfume or collectible scents, collectible cologne, something like that. But that's where I sell through, and it's not against policy. It's not illegal to do so, and eBay wouldn't create the category to sell in if it was against their own policies. So I sell very vintage and collectible scents and colognes and perfumes all the time. I find them a lot at estate sales, and also once in a while I find them at thrift stores. Then we got a question from my latest video, which bombed, by the way. That mentions that I showed an early video of my 30-day total sales, and they were over 30K. And their question, basically, they're asking, when I'm talking about $8 to $10 board games, how can I be generating $30,000 a month in revenue selling such small profit items? And I will say, when I talk about Amazon stuff on this channel, that's mostly DVDs, board games. That's pretty much, I think that's strictly what I sell pretty much on Amazon. Once in a while, there's a few other things. But when I talk about Amazon on here, it's kind of like my side hustle. In the reselling game. eBay is the king of my sales. I don't rely on Amazon sales that's just a small portion of what I sell, or my generating of income is very small on Amazon. So these $8 to $10 board games are kind of like little tips, as if I'm your server at a restaurant and you're just handing me a $10 bill at the end because you're a generous tipper, and I thank you very much. So Amazon, I'm not making 30K. That 30K in generation of income is That's on eBay alone. That has nothing to do with the $8 to $10 that I'm making on these board games. Anytime I'm talking about Amazon, that's separate from my numbers on eBay. So hopefully that clears some of that up for you, and I appreciate the time. I'm relatively newer channel, smaller channel here on YouTube. I really got into it this past year, and I got into it because I have learned so much from other YouTubers, resellers online, and I had so many friends like yourselves. I have so many friends and family who reach out, seeing my success and how happy and exciting I get talking about reselling and going out to the wilds of thrift stores and garage sales and such, that people have come to me and asked how to do it. So I started a YouTube channel because I got so many questions from friends and family, so I can just point them to this channel. However, obviously it's grown and more strangers are following me, and heads up, I'm also following you, strangers. So a question from Josu with context: do you purchase these jackets throughout the year and wait until the fall months to list, or are they listed as soon as you purchase them? And this is a question. I made a video, which you can see here, this reselling and thrift store strategy video. You can go back and see this if you want. But basically in this video, I talked about the strategy of buying things when they're out of season. Basically at the end of spring or summer season, they start to get thrift stores, garage sales and the like, they start to get rid of inventory that is specific to the warmer weather. And oftentimes you can find pretty deep discounts on those items. Oftentimes I'll find $50, $75 jackets, sometimes even more. This past year I did find a leather jacket, which I bought for $10 that sold for almost $400 that I purchased at the end of summer last year. And I put it up at the beginning of the colder months in the fall this year, and vice versa. You can start also find some deep discounts when the fall and winter season ends on clothing that is better for winter wear. So keep an eye out for that. I purchase the jackets throughout the year, but I don't actually list it until the according season is near, so I can really maximize and capitalize on those profits. And next question from Mr. John Van Zalen. Great video. Thanks for the advice. Do you use promoted listings? If so, what do you set it at? This is in reference to a video that I made about basically pricing strategy, which I'm going to do an updated video very soon as things have changed a little bit. And I definitely wanted to get on top of that and get that information out because it's helped me so much. But anyway, promoted listings. I know a lot of YouTubers and eBayers have talked about promoted listings. I personally actually don't do promoted listings other than my weekend sales, which is what that video is about. And again, I'll do another video coming up very soon. Promoted listings, however, in the individual listings, I actually don't do that. I see why they can be necessary, especially in super saturated categories, but I personally don't do any promoted listings. I run sales during the week and I run sales on the weekend, and I send out offers. But as for promoted listings, I personally don't do promoted listings, as I don't want to pay eBay more money for no reason, because my stuff actually has a pretty decent sell-through rate. But thanks for the question. And Brad 9189, I heard another YouTube reseller suggest not selling ink cartridges because they often result in a Vero strike. Have I had an experience like this? This is I have had that happen in the past, but that was specific to HP Instant Ink, where I did get a strike from HP, and I'm not sure if it was a Vero strike. I think it might have been an inauthentic policy violation, which is strange because why would I sell fake ink cartridges? It's strange. I sell a lot of ink cartridges. I still do. I actively do. I sell them multiple times per month. So again, it's one of these things, kind of like I mentioned in the perfume and cologne. It seems to be relatively inconsistent on eBay. It's just one of those categories where sometimes I guess some folks, maybe it's very dependent on what the actual ink is. Maybe it's a very specific kind of ink or a specific kind of ink company. But HP, I sell Epson, I sell Canon ink. So I sell multiple kinds of ink, but I have had a policy warning specifically, again, with HP Instant Ink only. So I no longer sell that on eBay, but all other ones I sell very regularly. Hope that helped. And a question from that name. I just found your channel. Keep the videos coming. Is this your only job, selling on eBay, Amazon? Well, thanks for the support. First of all, everybody on here who sent in the questions. I appreciate you volunteering your time with me. This is not my only job. It is my primary source of income, I will say. I do have another job, but it's a very part-time job. I get work when I can take it. And in the coming months, I'm going to actually reveal that. I'm not trying to, it sounds like weird and maybe pretentious to not say what I'm doing, but I'm trying to keep my other job somewhat kind of separate from my online reselling business, at least for now, until I decide maybe I'm going to go all in on the reselling. But yeah, I do have another job, although eBay and Amazon selling, reselling online and at flea markets is my favorite job, I should say, and it's also my primary source of income. But if hopefully you come back and return, if there's something else to talk about in that other career, then maybe I'll talk about it then. But thanks for the support. Then we have a question from Tyler and Bella Stoys. When did you traveling? Did you have someone taking care of shipping for your eBay back at home? And I love this question because I get this question quite often. I do a lot of traveling. I get a lot of questions about my store and do I set it on vacation mode or just questions like that. How do I manage my store when I travel so much? I do try to take large road trips every year. This past summer, I made a series of videos driving all the way up into Montana, California, and back, and I kept my store open along the way. And there's a couple of things that I can say about this. So as many of you probably know, you can set your store on a vacation mode. You can put it on time away and you can pause your sales while you're away for, I think it's for up to 30 days. However, what I do, I actually have two accounts. And I have one account for when I am traveling on the road, and I also have a kit that I take with me, which is basically consists of my thermal printer, some boxes, some poly bags, some tape, packing materials, just basics, smaller stuff. And I also take some small inventory, things that I can fit in like a small bucket. Wish I had something to show you, but just small items that are easy to pack and ship. And I do stuff from the road, from the hotel room, from Airbnb, even sometimes just using my phone as a hotspot. So I can work from the road, and it's obviously I don't do the same amount of volume as if I was at my home in my own office with all of my inventory, but I like to keep sales and obviously make money to help mitigate the cost of these vacation and these giant road trips that I love to take. So no, I don't have anybody taking care of my eBay back at home as I turn my main account off most of the time. If the trip is only going to be like a week or so long, I tend to just put on time away on my account and mention I'll be away for a week, but I'll be shipping orders as soon as I get back. But for anything significant time, I just bring stuff with me. And then also while I'm on the road, I like to explore America through the eyes of thrift stores in new communities. That's how I find new towns. Is I often look for thrift stores that are near me or where I'm going and travel in between thrift stores and just thrift the back roads and find stuff to sell. And I can also list it on my second eBay account and list it for sale. And if it sells, I ship it up and send it off from the road. So hopefully that answers some of that question. Thanks for the support. So when I got this wonderful question, a lot of people have similar questions as this one from Helpful Commenter. Why do you run sales just on the weekends when people are shopping 24/7 around the world? Why not just run a constant sale? And you can read the rest there. Basically, that the heart of the question is, why am I continuing just to run sales on weekends? And the reason I do that, and this is in reference to a video, most popular video on my channel actually, where I talk about a pricing strategy. And it's I continue to do that strategy that I do in that video every weekend, 52 weekends a year. And the answer to this question is the sale is not only about trying to increase my sales on the weekend, but it's actually setting up my sales for Monday through Friday, or yeah, Monday through Friday of the following week. And I'm not running a constant sale on stuff because people also buy my stuff on the Monday through Friday at full price. So I don't want to run sales and take less money when I have people actively shopping at my full my full asking price. So that's why I don't run sales 24/7 every day of the week. It's mostly just Friday through Sunday to try to get eyes on my items. Whether they buy during the weekend doesn't necessarily matter. Obviously, I want people to. However, more what it gets is people watching my item. So come Monday morning, if they didn't buy during the week, I can send them a direct offer to their little email inbox, and it helps encourage sales during the week and not just the weekend. And then from the daily grind, I've been selling on eBay for 20 years. Amazing. I hope to grow up and be like you someday. I'm afraid to try Amazon and feel it would take forever to learn. How come you can sell some games, but you are restricted on others? If you've been to the channel, obviously I talk about selling board games. You see it in virtually every video that I make, talking about selling board games, specifically on Amazon FBA's program. You can certainly, there's a lot of YouTubers talking about Amazon FBA, but I do sell on Amazon. I started selling on Amazon, and that was my primary way to resell originally. Now I specifically pretty much only sell on Amazon used board games, new board games, and some media like DVDs and some books. But why can I sell some games and restrict on others? That's a mystery. I know that there are sometimes, I'll try to keep this short. Some accounts, especially depending on the age of your account, I'm basically grandfathered in on many different features of selling on Amazon, as I've been doing it for 13, 14 years now. But there are certain brands where if you were to go and you were to scan like a Hasbro game, for example, you might be restricted from selling the brand of Hasbro for a while until your account reaches certain metrics, certain selling metrics, or maybe not. Maybe you'd be. I've heard some of my friends are restricted on Lego, and they have larger accounts than me, and I'm not. Although there are some products, which it could be product specific, there are just some products, maybe like a Lego game, some games or some Legos I am restricted on, but most I am not. Same with board games. It seems to be kind of wishy-washy. I don't know the full answer to why some restrictions are in place. And it also depends on the time of year, where during fourth quarter, if you haven't sold enough in the toy category, from my understanding, sometimes Amazon can lock you out from selling certain toys during the fourth quarter if you didn't reach like a certain minimum level throughout the year. I've heard that that's certainly a policy in place. This past year, actually, because I sell a lot less on Amazon now, I wasn't able to sell a lot of board games and toys that I have in the past because I didn't sell that much on Amazon this past year. So I think that actually might be true. And come January, which it now is, it looks like the floodgates have opened again, and I can sell those toys that I was restricted on. But there doesn't always seem to be any rhyme or reason. You just kind of got to go with what they say, and it could be different times of the year as well. So I'm not exactly sure. But my only advice on something like that, if you want to try Amazon, I do recommend it strictly for the Amazon FBA program. For board games, because board games are so cheap at thrift stores, especially garage sales where people are just clearing out their attics and basements and just want board games out. You can get them for $1.50, $2, and Amazon is a perfect place because they make shipping so profit. Like if you're trying to sell board games on eBay, oftentimes board games are costing $10 to $15 range to ship, or once in a while maybe it's a little bit cheaper depending on the size and the weight of the board game. But it's hard to profit on used board games on eBay when they're only worth $15, $20 range, and you're spending, and that's including the shipping costs. It's really hard to profit. But if you sell those $15, $20 games on Amazon, where the shipping is actually much cheaper because you can use their FBA program, there's still ways to make $4, $5, $6, $7 on those $20 board games. So check it out. Do some YouTube research. It's the best education for Amazon FBA. That's where I learned to do it myself. And there's a lot of great people teaching the FBA program out there. So hopefully that helps. Then I got another question about Amazon. It'll be quick. What's your best advice on how to start an Amazon FBA? I will say congratulations if you're interested in starting Amazon FBA. I will say I don't love selling on Amazon. There's a lot of reasons I don't. However, the major pro for me of why I sell on Amazon is strictly the FBA program, strictly for used board games. I do some media and a few other things now and again. But to your question, how to start an Amazon FBA? Again, you're here on YouTube, and this is the best resource for doing so. That's how I learned, was finding people teaching it on YouTube. That's how, and then it's a bit of trial and error, just like all this reselling is. So YouTube University, check it out, and that's how to basically learn anything in the world. Then we got an Amazon specific question. Do you get many complaints for selling board games on Amazon? IP complaints or whatever is to stop selling their products? No, on Amazon I do not get many complaints. I sell a lot of used board games. I sell a lot of new and used board games, I should say. Amazon's pretty straightforward with what you're restricted on and what you're not. You kind of know as soon as you pull up in the Amazon selling app. It'll tell you if you're restricted or not up front. Once in a while, things do become restricted after you've listed them. That certainly does happen, but even then, it's just the listing is not. They take it down. You don't get necessarily IP complaints. I do hear other sellers on Amazon get IP complaints. It's not something that I have much experience with in receiving. It's happened a handful of times over the past 13 or 14 years, and I think most of that stuff is actually like cease and desist type letters or policy violations straight from eBay where my listings are taken down. As far as Amazon goes, I don't really get any complaints for selling used board games, especially IP complaints, as Amazon tells me up front if I'm allowed to sell a game or not. Thanks for the question. Another Amazon question from Schweisey. Took inspiration from you and went to list a used puzzle FBA. That's tricky. Used puzzles I don't advise, but hey, I used to do it, so I'm not one to speak. But the only option is collectible. I noticed that I use this option too. I do, even when they are current games. Is this kosher? Will Amazon get mad at me? So at some point in the past couple years, Amazon moved a lot of the toys and used items. You went from used to collectible. I don't know why. Used seems to be a category of some things are other third-party sellers are allowed to use, but most things I sell in collectible category as it's the only option. If it's not new, when I go to list something, it only gives me the option. Actually, I don't even get to sell under the used category. It's either new or it's in collectible. And I know that's kind of against like collectible. You might think like a collectible item such as like an autographed item or a rare version or something that actually makes it by definition like collectible. However, it's just Amazon's language when they're using some of these, and it happens to be very much in the toys category. When you go to list things, oftentimes you can only list as collectible. So that's very standard. Don't let that freak you out. Amazon's not going to get mad. That's their language. And then my last question here from Fletch Flips is wondering why you don't show your own listings and what you sell, and how can I find your eBay store? So I'm assuming the question about showing my own listings in my videos when I'm out in the wilds of thrift stores and talking about, I think it's pretty common practice. I just do, I'm showing comps on the screen, basically. So when I'm out in the wilds and showing these videos, I'm just showing what this particular item has sold for in the past or is currently selling. If I wait to use my own actual sale for the information, that might not make a video for, say, 2 or 3 weeks or whatever the case may be. And I'm trying to show what, I don't make my videos that far in advance, or I should say, from that much in the past. Usually I'm talking about stuff that are very current in my videos. So anything that I'm showing in a video, if I wait to show you, it's going to be weeks later, and I want to show you what I just found, like in this past week, for example, as it's still relevant and happening right now. As far as my eBay store name is Sail by the Sea, and I do want to give a special shout out to a longtime viewer, Carol C, who has also made a purchase, and she's the first viewer who sent in a completed sale, at least that I know about. She sent a nice message that saying she's a viewer and wanting to support my store. So thank you to CC, the other CC out there. I do want to wrap it up and say thanks for all the great questions. I love these kinds. This is why I make these videos, is to answer questions and help folks out there, or try to help anyway. And keep in mind that this is just my experience. This is the way that I do business, and I do evolve. I learn from you guys still out there. So one of my favorite ways to learn is watching other resellers, listening to other resellers on how they do business or what they find out in the wilds. But the reason I made this channel in the first place was to help people out there, as reselling has surely and continues to change my life in more ways than I would have ever imagined it would. I'm forever grateful for this reselling experience. So I talk about it a lot, and I want to share what I can to help other people in their own reselling adventures. So continue to send more questions. I'm happy to answer anything you may want to know about. So that's it for now, and I'll see you guys on the watch.